The final one, Bart. I almost don't want to do this one, but we mentioned it on the transfer show the other day that just for those that missed it, that Anthony Gordon, everyone know what happened last summer or what didn't happen, you would say. And that was kind of everyone thought the end of it. He signed the new deal, etc. All those. And Luis Diaz's future is well discussed, isn't it? Is he staying? Is he going? Contract? Does he want to? All those types of things, you know that. But digging around, actually, for players that Liverpool are looking at, quite a number of journalists, as we said on the transfer show and other sources, are saying Anthony Gordon is still seriously being looked at by Liverpool, whether we like it or not. Now, Anthony Gordon, Bart, can play. He has played a few positions for Newcastle. It's tended to be more where Isak's out. But it is fair to say Anthony Gordon has played on the left side predominantly for Newcastle. I think last summer that's what everyone expected up to a point, wasn't it? When it seemed Gordon was going to come in. So you think, okay, is that Diaz then going out? Obviously, it didn't work out that way. And just to be clear, people, thank God, because look how the season's panned out a little bit as well. But it does seem that, and again, got to be honest, Anthony Gordon is still coming up. So almost as a Diaz versus Gordon, what are we saying on this, Bart?
Yeah. We did it last year, didn't we? And I think Diaz last summer, right? I think we did it last summer. It's different to Diaz this year.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to set that context. Yeah. But there's also some things that go against Diaz this summer, i.e. his contract situation, his age. Yeah. Yes, he's coming off his best season for Liverpool. He's actually reached Man levels, right? You can't knock the kid for that. And he's been a real pivotal part for us winning the title. I think as we said on UP this season, all the periods that all of us picked out as being the moment that we felt that we were going to win the league, the front three were Cody, Diaz and Mo.
Yeah.
I think that probably says you a bit about how efficient he's been. I think the flip today, it will show you the faith that Slot has or doesn't have in these two nights, right? But so Diaz has undoubtedly had a good season. It's the question is going to be, is he going to sign a deal and can he carry that on? Right, those are the two questions for Diaz. But taking it just performance-wise, yes, he's had a great deal, had a great season. Gordon had a good season for Newcastle as well, right? He is younger, 24. Yeah. Whereas Diaz, 28, is that right? 28, 29?
Yeah.
Getting towards 29? Yeah. So there's a difference there. The wage demands might be in and around the same, but they might be more willing to give a 24-year-old, 4-year-old that money versus a 28 who might be one more year or 2 more years at top. So there are some things to consider, but if we were just looking at Gordon as a player, defensively, it's not brilliant, right? Newcastle can play medium or deep block and play the counter, right? So he's not going to do tackles. Is going to be something he does. He will block the ball. Clearances that he's not going to be involved in because he's generally the out ball for them, and interceptions he's not going to be a strong point. So there would be some tweaks that he would have to make to his game to learn our system, which is possession-based largely, and he would be tasked to carry ball from X to Y and be part of the attack that ends up with our 9 or Mo getting a chance, or the reverse, Swallow to be then on the end of the chance. But it's a very different build to what Newcastle do, okay, which is effectively he's the out ball or he gives the ball to Isaac. Right. Between the boxes, you'll see here he's a carrier, right? He carries that ball probably up similar levels. I'll look at in a minute to Diaz. He has good touches in the penalty box. I mean, it's not brilliant, but he's still better than some of the other ones we looked at tonight. Progressive passes, it's not bad. He's in the best 53rd percentile, which means he's in the top half, but not by much. All right, so there is 47% of midfielders make more progressive passes than he does, right? Pass completion is a little low, 72%, 25th percentile. So he either takes a lot of risks or that is an area he needs to improve upon, right? But bearing in mind that he's not taking that much, he doesn't attempt that many progressive passes. There's something to be said about that. Passes attempted, again, volume. Yeah, he's not attempting that many passes. So he's carrying it and doing something that could be reflective on the fact that that's Newcastle style. So they're not necessarily a possession-based team, whereas for us, we would be, so we might have more opportunity. Attacking-wise, though, non-penalty goals, 36th percentile. Non-penalty XG creation, 64. So there's a bit of a difference there in terms of what he does. Shots total, 57th percentile. So that is 43% of players in his position take more shots per 90. So he's 2.3. So that is what we probably would say our 9th attacking up shots is about that level. Okay, assists, 61 percentile. Shot created actions is probably his strongest point at 80th percentile, and he's just 4.5 a game. All right, so there's green there. I'm not going to lie about it, but if we look at Diaz, we overlay Diaz is in red here. Diaz has more non-penalty goals, right?
Yeah.
Combining that with assists, he is better than Gordon, although Gordon, if you just split it down to actual assists, is better than Diaz. Okay. Pass completion. I mentioned that being a problem for Gordon. That is a huge difference between the two. That is 3 rings of the wagon wheel that Diaz is better than Gordon. Okay. If we look at progressive passes, about the same. Progressive carries, Gordon is slightly more than Diaz, but not by much. Take-ons, Diaz takes more players on. That's two bands. That's 1.5 bands more than Gordon. Touches, Gordon has more. Progressive passes received, so Diaz receives it in a higher with a more progressive pass than Gordon. All right. Defensively, Diaz does the start the tackles in interception, which is what we would want our midfielders to do. Does less of the blocks, and he's not so good aerially, but yeah, he's more likely to be on the out rather than helping defensively. So there are some similarities and there are some not. Now, if we compare it to Cody, who is the also current incumbent, I would say probably, I think people could argue with me, but I would suggest that when Cody's been fit, he's starting left wing. Maybe, yeah. Certainly the big games. Cody outperforms Gordon in nearly all the metrics, certainly attacking wise. The only other areas that he doesn't, shot creating actions, they're in the same bar, but Gordon technically has more passes attempted. A little bit surprisingly, Gordon attempts more passes than Cody, but then Cody is known for that dribbler and cross. Pass completion, Cody's is higher. Progressive passes, Cody doesn't do that. We know that. So Gordon's got a higher progressive carries. Gordon's got more than Cody. Take-ons are very similar. Touches, Gordon's got more than Cody. But then everything else in terms of progressive passes received, dribbles, aerials, tackles, blocks, clearances, goals, expected assists, and actual, they're about the same. Cody's better. All right. So, yeah, I think a year on, let's favour our guys and say Gordon, if that makes sense. If that kind of makes sense. Just going to bring up, if I was going to bring up Diaz as an actual direct comparison, if I can, direct Diaz. So this is Diaz's profile as an attacking winger. So yeah, he's got pass completion for the last 2 of 83. Yeah, whereas Gordon is 72. So yeah, there are some bits there that Diaz has had a very, very good season. I would suggest in the same bracket as Gordon. We're not comparing him as a forward. So yeah, whereas last time I think it would have been, yeah, let's go for it. Let's make the change. You know, I can see this young kid coming on. Now I think a season on, Diaz has had a very good season, whereas Gordon maybe not. Has had a normal season, should we say, and there's a bit of a difference now between the two. And there's actually a bit of difference between our 2 current left wingers and Gordon, whereas I don't think last summer we could have said the same
thing. Yeah. I mean, trying to be objective on this, looking at everything that goes into this is a potential move. I mean, he is younger. He is rapid, Gordon. He is an England international, so I know it's not as big deal as some people make out, but the homegrown element does come into it that way. But I mean, just being honest, Barts, as well. Gordon's got 9 goals and 7 assists in all competitions. So 16 goal contributions in everything across the board. Diaz has got 16 goals and 8 assists in all contributions. And so he beats him in goal contributions. Cody Gakpo beats him in goal contributions as well. And when you stack up the profile, again, it just feels like a year down the line. Almost if Diaz wasn't 28 and there was a question mark around this future, we could be honest and saying, like, you're not doing this move, are you? Not a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think the year has not been kind to Gordon. Yeah, I think you and I last summer both would have been like, this is a great deal. Yeah, let's move it on. I think because Diaz was still very hot and cold. Don't get it wrong, Diaz is still streaky, right? But he's had more hot streaks this season than not. Yeah. I will put aside the contract stuff because I think that clouds people's, if you look at him just as a player, he's coming up his best season for us.
Yeah.
And if we were going to move a player on, I'd want it to be for a better upgrade or a better player than Gordon. If push comes to shove and they make a decision that he's not going to renew, we need to get our money in for him. Okay, fine. That's a business decision. But what I want is to bring someone in to give us that output. And at the moment, the season we just had, Gordon hasn't given that output. As you just pointed out, there's a big difference between Gordon and both left wingers, not just one of them. Whereas last season, there wasn't such a difference.
Yeah, it's almost, folks. We're a little bit concerned as to why we're being told Liverpool is still quite high on Anthony Gordon. But maybe, as Bart's always says, they have some data that we don't. So there we go, ladies and gents. You look at
Dave.
Go on.
I was going to say the only thing that Gordon does outperform to is threat.
Okay.
So Gordon's threat is 0.17. Diaz is 0.14 and Cody is 0.15. Now, if you're trying to replace the Trent threat, that might only be a 20% improvement or 0.2%, a 0.02 improvement, but that's an improvement. And that's in a Newcastle side, right? So they should be looking at that and saying, hang on a minute, if we put him in a Liverpool team, does he give us more threat than Cody and Diaz? Okay. And that is another thing they're going to be looking to do is how to replace Trent's threats, because that is a big problem for us next season. So yeah, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's a good one to call out. We've talked about XT and the importance of that. So you've got to throw it all into the mix when making this decision. It is important to shout about. So yeah, I mean, Kone, an interesting one, ladies and gents. People will not look at that as a name that's not water, not belabor. But sometimes if you're going to have the nerds, as I say to Bart, you're not going to want to create the new belabor rather than buy in, whether you like that or not. And funnily enough, he pretty much profiles exactly the same as a Sugo, who Liverpool have looked at previously, as we know, and wanted for that option. You then go to Morgan Rogers, which maybe is a victim of versatility in a way and being moved around, but the overlying stats are brilliant. The underlying stats, there's a lot to like at the same time as well. I think we'd both be happy with that one. Diaz out, Gordon in. I don't think we'd be happy with that at all, realistically. It might, as Bartley saying, a business decision and things will come into the mix. We try and isolate the contract situation a bit, but you've got to bring it into this mix somewhat. And in terms of just pure football, doesn't really scream smart business. But again, maybe the club with XT and other things know something we don't. There you go, ladies and gents. I know the chat panel's buzzing. I know you will disagree with some of what we said. Our job is just to spell it out in terms of the metrics and give those insights where we can. All it leaves me to say, as ever, is Bart, for the insights, for the stats, and an apology earlier for cutting you short, but I wanted to throw you on the spot with it. It is much appreciated.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another transfer market metrics for Anfield Index.